Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I got a video tonight that I think you're going to find real interesting. A friend earlier private messaged me on Facebook and asked about tear gas. And so I got to thinking that I haven't made a video specifically about tear gas. And I think it's important. It's a big part of this story. And so that's what this video is going to be about. But before I do that, I want to just hit on, it's going to tie into a lot of other stories that I've told. And a lot of this gets cut up in pieces because I try to keep the videos relatively short, so it doesn't take 8 hours to watch it or whatever. And so it tells this story, tell that story, tell this story. Today, I got a message on Facebook. This guy here, and I see this before, and I'll just read it off to you, and then you understand, I think, better. But this guy says, okay, if you indeed have evidence of actual tunnels and people in your house, make a video showing that video evidence. Don't hit me with word salad. I guess that's his, I don't know. I won't even comment. I only want video evidence of a tunnel or a person in your house other than you. Do you have that or not? Okay, I've got that before, and many times before. And so here's my reply. I said, if we walked outside and saw snow on the ground, and I told you that it fell from the sky, would you act so stupid to say it didn't unless I have it on camera? Are you going to pretend that you're that dumb? That you're the idiot that can't figure this out? I said, of course not. It's evident the snow come from the sky, and you don't need a video to prove it. In my case, I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home with burglar alarms going off in the attic. I have multiple proofs showing that I wasn't shot with my gun. So somebody under my home shot me. We know that for a fact. I have multiple proofs showing that homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and other states are reporting people in the attic. I have 100 videos of burglar alarms or motion detectors going off. I have proof of security cameras being hacked. Okay, and then I also have multiple people documented saying there's underground homes, $1 million underground homes, and tunnels here. And one of them is a recent candidate for sheriff. Okay. Now, let me ask you something. I'm replying back to this guy. I says, where'd that snow come from? Are you going to play dumb? You want to play dumb? Because, and then I commented on that. It's like, just because, you have this, ability to hack these security cameras, which they do, that doesn't give you the right to hack people up. Okay, and that's what they're getting in their head. They're thinking, we hacked the security camera, now we murder anybody we want. You don't have a video, that means we didn't murder anybody. Bull crap. People were sent to jail a long time before there were any videos. There's plenty of evidence here to send people to prison. Plenty of evidence. Arrests should have been made a long time ago. This should have been a national story a long time ago. And furthermore, it's not a what if could be about people in the attic. And that's the point about tear gas in the attic there. Okay, I saw a person in my attic. I saw a young Hispanic guy on camera in my attic. I just didn't have the camera recording in time. Okay, as I said, I made 100 videos. I mean, just recently, last night, not before last, motion light. If you put a motion light up in your attic, it shouldn't go off for 30 years, okay? And this goes off daily, on a regular basis, along with the sounds of people moving around. I'm shot with burglar alarms going off. Homeowners all over the place reporting people in the attic, And then you have all the other evidence. Took 6 years to get the secret police identified. Do you think that, do you really believe that the police are so stupid that they don't know that criminals are breaking these homes, that these homes are rigged? Are they so dumb that they don't know that there's $4 million 3-bedroom homes where they were having oil show parties for an international oil show, parties down there? They're not that dumb. They're not. We have a massive corruption problem and cover-up going on, and I'm a victim. And so anyways, absolutely 100% people in the attic. So then we're going to take it, where are they getting in the attic? There's only 2 entrance doors on this house. I secured them a long time ago. I proved they're not getting in the attic from the doors. Okay, so we know that. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. And then through the years, I proved I had the roof inspected twice. I've had the whole roof changed, actually, redone, but it snowed before. Okay, so I know for a fact that there is no hidden trap door on the roof side. So they're not coming in the doors, and they're not coming in from the roof. Okay, well, they're not doing like Star Trek materializing in there. They got to be coming in somewhere. Okay, and what's happening is they're coming up a wall that's modified with enough crawl space from a tunnel. Multiple people said tunnels are here. Remember that, multiple people, and they crawl up there, so that allows them to come in and out all they want without being seen. Okay, they rigged the home before I moved here, and rigged many others like it, and so that's how they're going. A normal wall, about 4 5/8 thick, person can't crawl up there. That only leaves a few walls in the house, okay? I went through and I drilled holes in my walls, checking, okay? I did about 90% and I stopped. And the reason I stopped is because these are very dangerous criminals, armed and dangerous criminals that are backed up by a secret police murder gang. It took me 6 years and $2,000 reward to get them identified. And until we can find some legitimate police that is trying to stop crimes, trying to stop the burglaries, the thefts, and the murders, to get some police working on the right side of the law, then that's as far as I go. This is dangerous. It looks like they killed the guy that lived here before me, right? They killed that little girl at the 2010 wholesale party, believed to be in that underground home that's in the backyard. You can see it on Google Maps, okay? And so all that, now we're going to talk about the tear gas, okay? And for the longest time, I'm trying to figure out, how to stop these criminals. The first time I bought a product, and I'm going to show you here, I'm going to show you a picture on the computer in a minute, called Clear Out, okay? And it's a canister of tear gas. You punch the button, it goes off, okay? The first time that we used this, I was still married to the ex-wife, and it was her idea. I think it was a Sunday, and it was a weekend for sure. She goes to one. I have two attic entrance doors. She goes to one. I go to the other one. Well, she got a can. I got a can. Okay. And so I scream up there, we're going to tear gas at it, come down now, etc. Because I don't want anybody killed, I want the crimes to stop, people to be arrested, justice be had, etc. But I'm not wanting to kill anybody if I don't have to, And nobody come down. It was total silence. I pushed it. She pushed it. And we threw it up there in the attic. We met in the backyard, and we're both just crying, and her nose is running, and coughing and can't breathe. That was from pushing the button and throwing it up there. Okay, that's how powerful this is. And so it was total silence. I didn't hear anybody that day. And then I later suspected that she was working with these people that breaking home, and I feel sure of that now. And she probably told them in advance, I'm going to talk him into doing that this day. Make sure you're not here. I really believe that's probably what happened on that day. And so the second time that would tear gas it, as a burglar alarm went off, motion detector went off in the attic, and I'm like, they're here. And at that time, I had the cans that had a tube that went up, and I had a hole drilled in the ceiling where I stuck the tube up there. And she was here, and taking a bath or whatever, and I punched it, and you could hear them moving around. They wasn't being quiet, and so, but it still didn't stop. And of course, we were only married 3 months or whatever before I was done. I said, I'm finished with this, The last time I did it, we'd separated. She left around December 30th. 2011. I'm ambushed and shot January 28th. Less than a month later, I'm ambushed and shot. Actually, I filed divorce 5 days before I'm ambushed and shot. And but one night I go to sleep, and or pretend to go to sleep. And they sleep here, and I know that. They're here every single day. I know that too. And once again, it's not a what if, could be. There's $1 million underground home, It's as sure as I had to pay $2,000 to identify, 11 secret police, right? That's how sure it is, And so I go to bed, and then I jump up out of bed, 1, 2 o'clock, whatever. I run to the other side of the house and I kill the breakers, and I do that so I can put them in the dark, because they're stealing from me, when they get their light it comes from me. I paid for it. When the heating, the cooling, shelter, I pay for it. They're stealing. They're reaching in my pocket and grabbing money out and going, we got the dirty cops helping us. And what are you going to do about it? You want to call News West 9? You want to call CBS 7, KMID? You got proof and evidence? No, we're not going to post it. And we're just going to keep stealing from you. And we're going to steal from all these other people because that's what it's about. They're stealing. Okay. So anyway, I shut the breaker off, put them in the dark, and I went through and I punched some cans. I already had them set up, 3 of them. And so that it's filling up the attic, full of this gas, so this tear gas. Like I said, it's bad stuff, right? I mean, boom, 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 boom. You can hear them, man, in the attic. They ain't sneaking around trying to be quiet, They are trying to get out of there. I mean, that's what happened that night. And I was like, maybe this ends it. Maybe they can go break into somebody else's house. Of course, this is before they tried to murder me, okay? And I think maybe that was a part of them planning my murder. It was definitely premeditated, right? Of course, nobody accidentally breaks in a home and accidentally shoots somebody by surprise, right? We know that. I mean, it's absolutely 100% takes premeditation to do that. And we know I wasn't shot with my gun. And so anyways, the next day I get home from work. It was at lunch. And I open the door and I come in. As soon as I did, I hear somebody moving across my ceiling there. And I hear them coughing, and then at that point, it's like, I got them good. I knew I got them good. They were coughing because I got them with the gas, the night before. And I knew at that time, if I went from like 3 cans to 10 cans, I felt like ain't nobody gonna walk out of here. We're gonna have some dead criminals. Some dead thieves and burglars. That the police have refused to arrest for their crimes. But I don't want to kill anybody. I want the police to do their job, arrest it, stop the crimes. And so that's when I made up my mind right then that I'm not gonna ever do that again. I'm not gonna tear gas the attic. But I knew how to do it, even later after I'm ambushed and shot and that absurd protective order got filed against me by the ex-wife, 22 months after I'm shot, she filed a protective order on me and I hadn't seen her, talked to her in a year and a half and she lived 100 miles away. It's a totally absurd protective order. And then the judge rules a lifetime protective order and takes away, my right to own guns for life. It's absurdity. It's what it is. Oh, he's crazy. He thinks people in the attic. Well, people are in the attic. Of course, back then I didn't have a dozen police scanner calls. Other homeowners reporting people in the attic and all the other evidence I do now. It was just me and my word. And this crazy story. But they took away my guns. And I think really what they're doing, they're trying to keep me from shooting. They were worried about me protecting my home and my property and my life. They were allowing these crimes to be committed against me. And then the other side of it, they were probably trying to terrorize me into selling my home at the price they want so they could gain my property under terrorism. That's a violation of the Hobbs Act. Carries 20 years in prison doing that, conspiring with corrupt police, corrupt public officials to gain property like my home. And why do they want my home? There's $1 million underground home buried in the backyard where they murdered a little girl in 2010. And then they murdered the previous homeowner the week before the 2008 oil show started, right? And so they want me out of this home because it's a can of worms, when this gets exposed, so they're trying to terrorize me in a home. So they take my guns away from me and they're threatening me. And I'm getting all these death threats. I'm getting these break-ins in my house and the police are looking the other way, and, they're going, surely he'll move now, and I'm like, no, I'm going to clear my name. You're going to kill me, And that's where we're at. That's the bottom line. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. They're going to kill me because I don't seem to be able to stop them. I've been, sincerely worried about being poisoned, And so anyways, the other side of this, I'm going to show you some evidence here in a minute, is right after I tear gassed them that last time, which is just 2 or 3 weeks before the murder attempt, okay? It was a few days later is when I recognized somebody was in my house trying to come in my bedroom. Okay, it was a Saturday, January 14, 2012. Okay, and that's when I put electricity on my doorknob to stop that home invasion. And I was worried that they were coming in for retribution because I tear gassed the attic. That's why that story is important. And then, so I believe that saved my life. Actually, I called that the first murder attempt when I put electricity on that doorknob. And then 2 weeks later, I'm ambushed and shot. My phone lines cut, premeditated, capital attempted murder. And then after I survived, get out of the hospital, God saved my life. I start looking up the obituaries. I wonder if somebody died on that day, that I put electricity on the doorknob. And I find where a young Landman attorney had died named Matt Hyman, 33 years old or something like that, And I'd already suspected oilfield landmen were connected with these oil show parties, okay, with the underground oil show parties where the little girl was murdered, all that, But I didn't know how he died. I didn't know when he died. I just knew he died on that day. And so I posted that on my Facebook. And two of his friends, they were desperate to shut me up. And I'm going to show you that here in a minute. Chris Mertz and Brian Hillman, they both threatened me. And they didn't want me asking questions about what happened to Matt Hyman, And then his former sister-in-law was my nurse, Natalie Hyman. And so I asked her some questions, I thought, to eliminate him, as far as dying in my hallway. And one, how did he die? Because if he died in a plane crash, it wasn't him, right? And I know that. He, died of, what'd she say? Oh, heart failure. Nobody knew he had it. Just surprise heart failure, 33, and he died, And I'm like, was he messing with electricity? Electricity stops the heart. That's what happens. And the truth is, if you start CPR, emergency and contact EMS in time, electricity will restart the heart. So the defibrillator starts it right back up, and a lot of times you survive being electrocuted. And what I really believe is that Matt and his friends are here. Matt grabbed the doorknob. Didn't know electricity was on, of course. Boom, he dies, right? And his friends are sitting there, and they're like, got a decision. Do we call for help? Or do we let Matt die, take him somewhere else, because we don't want to be arrested, And I think they did. I think they let their friend die in my hallway, And then they're probably mad going, that's Buddy's fault. Buddy's fault? What do you mean? You're breaking in my home trying to murder me. You've been stealing from me. That's what I'm saying. You're breaking in my home. You're stealing heating, cooling, electricity, terrorizing me, threatening my life. Unimaginable terror. And not just me, all over the place, And so, anyways, then maybe that's what the motive for murder 2 weeks later is going, cut the phone lines, steal the cell phone, cut the home phone lines, and then shoot me from point blank range by surprise, thinking that I'm going to die, basically. And God saved my life. But anyway, so there's that story. What I'm going to show you, the two attic entrances, and then I'm going to show you stuff on the computer. Okay, let's go in here out of my bedroom. Here's the bathroom. That's where the burglar was trapped on the day of the murder. The two bedrooms are left and right. And this is the hallway closet. And then up in the top of the hallway is the attic entrance. And notice I put a piece of plywood there and I have it bolted shut, So I know for a fact that nobody's coming and going from this entrance. I secured that entrance. Okay, we're going to go to the other side of the house. I'm in my garage, and this is my other attic entrance door, and it's the one with the ladder. You can see that bar that I put in there, and I even put a lock up there. And so once again, I knew that they're not coming in from this this entrance door. And that's what I was, I know for a fact they're getting up there, and I was trying to figure out how they're getting up there. I'm going to show you a little bit more. I'm outside. All I was wanting to show you here is the chimney stack. And what I was saying is it's going to have to be a wall that has enough crawl space. And one place that I identified as a possibility is the chimney stack. Because you get up on top, I don't know if you can see that. See how wide that is? And then you look down here and you can see that there'd be enough crawl space in there. And then even here on the ground, I noticed that right here where Bella is, it's cracked here. And it's cracked there, and that's a possibly tunnel that comes over here. And so it's just a possibility, but as I said, we know they're getting up there. We know they're not coming in the entrance doors. They're not coming in from the roof. So they got to be coming up a wall that is modified with enough access. And that's not just my home, it's all these other homes too. I think most of the time they go to a next door neighbor's house. Okay, as I said, if they're not coming in the doors, right, and then I'm trying to figure out where they're coming in at. And this is a video made way back in 2015. I'm going to show you this one. If there's one area in my bedroom, which is right behind that window, that I heard the most noise in the attic, it's on this side, the north side, up in the attic side. And that's where I hear people, actual real people moving around. And that's where that stuff was built. I showed you in that one video. Watch this, is real interesting. Look there. See that hole? There's a heat spot. You see that's very prominent there right there at the same place, right above my roof. See, I believe what happened there, because you don't insulate the roof itself, where back where the shingles are up there. The insulation's on the bottom side, okay? And what I suspect is right there in that area is they probably had a space heater up there, and like I said, it's to them, it's free room and board, and and then all they have to do is murder a homeowner every once in a while and maybe pay off the secret police to help them, with their crimes, and so, like I said, they're not paying, any, if let's say there's a space heater, did they bring their own electricity? No, they didn't. Nobody paid for that, and so, anyways, the point here, though, was that I've seen the roof entirely covered with snow, and I know for a fact they're not coming in from a trap door on the roof. So they're not coming in a trap door on the roof. They're not coming in the doors, and they can't come up a normal wall. That only leaves a few walls. Maybe, maybe there at the chimney. There's a couple other spaces here. But like I said, I went 90% and I stopped until we can find some real law enforcement. Because right now, they have a license to kill, and not just kill one homeowner. They can kill one homeowner after another homeowner, because it looks like they killed the guy who lived here before me. Okay. This movie is called Motive for Murder, Matt Hyman, and that one really was talking about what I told you about the Matt Hyman, the Landman attorney that died 2 weeks before I was ambushed and shot. And I'll tell you another story about that. I was at the emergency room up there after I survived the murder attempt, and Detective Rosie Rodriguez was up there, and I was telling her that I'd tie-wired my spare door shut, because the ex-wife had told me there was a trap door in his house somewhere, and I didn't know where it was at, which room it was at, and I was compartmentalizing my home, But anyway, here I'm telling her that story, and Rosie, in the smart mouth, and she says, "Did you put electricity on it?" And then it's like, oh, she knows. She knew about what happened 2 weeks later. Maybe Matt Hyman was her friend or something. Maybe this was the motive for murder. That their friend broke into my home trying to murder me and died. It was their own fault because they're involved in a felony burglary. With motive was murder, obviously. And I suspect all maybe caused because of the tear gas the attic, because I'm trying to stop them. I'm just wanting to live in peace, But I knew, the police wasn't called that night, and Rosie Rodriguez somehow knew about the electricity. Okay, here's that tear gas product I use, Clear Out 6-ounce tear gas, $25 a can. Like I said, the first time, I think I used one can, and then that second time, or me and the ex-wife, she did through one entrance, I through the other entrance, so that was 2 cans. Then the next time when I set them off, I can't remember if it was one or more cans, 1 or 2 cans or whatever. But then that last time I had 3 cans, okay? And then that was the last time, that I decided I was going to do that. I wasn't going to do that anymore. But feeling like that I could finish this if I wanted, and I don't need a gun, and it's not a booby trap, Here I want to show you some other little evidence I think is important. At work, I kept a little journal and a little spiral notebook, and so I'd go home, I'd go to work, go from my home to work, and I would write notes. I got a video on this called Handwritten Notes, and I was writing back. This is week of July 10th, and that would be 2011. And it was the ex-wife's daughter told us she heard noises like somebody was in the attic. It scared her. Said that she got a pair of scissors out for protection. And it was Monday or Tuesday, so that's what I was saying. Okay, so I wrote that at my notebook at work. And I got my notebook after I was ambushed and shot. Then my supervisor, Dane Wiggins, brought me my stuff from work, and that's when I got that back. Okay. And so then another dot point found the mini blinds on the dining room door were out of their track when we got back from Hayden's birthday party on Saturday night, back from Hobbs, New Mexico. They were not that way when I left. And so I was documenting that. And the ex-wife confirmed this. That's what I wrote. Okay. And then this last one, which was probably the 17th, July 17th, 2011. It says, the ex-wife and I released the tear gas pepper spray into the attic. We shut down all radios, dryer, and AC so we could listen for noises. I yelled out for somebody to speak up before we threw them up there. And I told that story a minute ago, but there's the handwritten documentation showing that me and the ex-wife did that ourselves. Well, in that protective order here and that I mentioned, this is part of the transcript from it. They brought up the tear gas, and it was basically, what they're trying to do is make me appear to look crazy. And I feel sure, that absolutely the ex-wife, and I feel like probably the district attorney, maybe even the judge, these are $1 million underground homes, hosting parties for international oil shows. And, and I got a feeling that, that they knew about it, and what the plan was, they're trying to make me look crazy when I'm telling the truth all along. Of course, I didn't have all the evidence back then. I do now, but that was anyway. I was asked in court, did you have any like cans of tear gas? Yeah, nothing like that for sure. And smaller than a hairspray bottle, half the size of a hairspray bottle or something. And are the kind you use in personal protection? I said, no, they're not handheld, not the kind you carry around. I said, so they're not handheld. How do you use them? I said, well, they're handheld, but they're not the pocket kind. I guess that's what I meant. They're not the kind that you carry around in your pocket. All right. Is it the kind that you maybe take the pin out and top and throw it? I said, well, you push a button, And so basically it was like, is that a grenade? That's what it's going. Here, this kind I want to show you, they have the tube, and that when I got the ones with the tube, then I could snake the tube up in the through a hole in the attic, and it wasn't near as bad on me, because that's powerful stuff. Okay. As I told you earlier, this was Matt Hyman I found. He died on January 14, 2012. That's when I put electricity in my doorknob. And it was just a few days after I had tear gassed the attic, and I recognized somebody was trying to come into my bedroom. Okay. He was a petroleum landman. I suspect the landman are connected to the oil show parties. And then he was also an attorney for Cotton Bledsoe, Ty and Dawson. And that is the city's attorney. Okay. Is that company. Okay. And then here is the sister, a former sister-in-law of Matt Hyman, denied of a genetic difference that no one knew he had. I said, was he messing with electricity? No. And then I was also thinking, well, what time of day did he die? Because if he died in the morning, it wasn't him, And I said, do you remember the time of death? It was at night. So basically, he died at the same time that I had electricity on my doorknob, and he died of a surprise heart failure, and electricity would cause a surprise heart failure, And so that's where I was like even more convinced that Matt Hyman died in my hallway. But then two of his friends, Brian Hillman here, you're barking up a tree. I suggest you take down that. Immediately sent you a DM, a private message, And then here Maria's like, are they always threatening you like this, buddy? And here's this guy, Chris Mertz. He worked for my company, and these are both landman too. Okay. I wonder where they were at on January 28, 2012, on the night that I was ambushed and shot. Real law enforcement needs to talk to them. Real law enforcement needs to find out where they were at on January 14th when Matt Hyman died. Okay. And here have answered for it face to face like a man. You got the balls, post your crazy ass. You have the balls to accept the consequences. So this guy's threatening me, right? And they are desperate to silence me. And I even wondered if they let their friend die in my hallway. Maybe they could. Maybe they were the ones in my house with him. Brian Hillman, he writes me a private message here. Matt Hyman was not your guy. This is my wife's late husband. So he married the widow. Leslie Reed Hyman married this brat Brian Hillman. That's very interesting, because she's the only witness to him supposedly dying, a surprise heart failure. Ain't that interesting, right? And here I'm real kind. I'm a Christian, a man of integrity, little girl. I'm not interested in your rhetoric bullshit, that this dude, he says, I'm interested in you taking that stuff down, and the only threat you're going to receive with me will be legal. So he's threatening me, And so I finally come back and I said, where were you at on January 28, 2012? He said, I don't know. And as I said, I think Brian Hillman should be asked some very serious questions by law enforcement and about his location. His phone records need to be checked. Leslie needs to be interviewed. There's some people need to be interviewed and as possible suspects in the premeditated capital murder attempt on my life and maybe other crimes. Find out what they know about them underground facilities, And then lastly, later, what I found here, I was changing my HVAC filter. That's the filter for the air conditioner. It's in my hallway. We were down that hall a minute ago. And you can see that goes up in the attic, and there's a tube at the top that can come right off. It's a tube that's the intake for the HVAC system or the air conditioning, heating, cooling systems in the attic. And on top of that filter, I found a Lego toy. Well, it wasn't there 3 months earlier, okay? So I knew somebody had dropped that in the last 3 months, during that time period. This is several years ago. Then I'm like, oh, it's a child. There's, I've known a long time multiple people, and but I'm like, man, I could have tear gassed a child. And, and I really believe that, I think that the police would welcome me shooting or killing these home intruders because I think I probably care more about their life than these people that are, that are paying them to break into my house and terrorize me, etc. Obviously, the people that put in $1 million underground homes, are not hanging out in attics. I figure they live at the country club is my guess. And so maybe even victims and maybe even children, and that would go right with the child sex trafficking, I believe, that was going on back then with the truckers out back, okay? And then, when we go, oh, yeah, where's your pictures? You want pictures? Here we go. It took 6 years to get them identified. 6 years and a $2,000 reward. That should be an international show. That's the first known secret police since Nazi Germany right there. Crime victim of a murder attempt had to pay to get them identified. You want to doubt me when I say somebody's in that attic? Look at them secret police. And then go to Google Maps. And, I got multiple people telling me there's underground homes here. And you go look at my home and there's a bunker in my backyard and you can't see it from above ground. Woman recorded telling me there's 4 3-bedroom underground homes. Rhonda Denman Rogers says one underground home's a half block away. Layla O'Brien said she worked on the Safe House project, cost $7.35 million, finished in 1987. She believed the Bushes were connected to it. And then finally, a sheriff candidate, Joe Lozano, told me that the underground homes was the hideout for Sheriff Painter, okay, our late Sheriff Painter. And so that is plenty of people. And then we don't want to forget Homeland Security that's supposed to take care of human trafficking. I showed them where I believe the human trafficking Myrtle Tunnel was at, coming out of Home Depot, aimed directly at my house. You can see where the concrete was cut, right? I went back there behind Home Depot with Homeland Security on July 2nd, 2019. 2 weeks later, they dug up the ground and poured concrete. Some people are wondering if they wasn't tampering with evidence in a capital murder and if they could get the death penalty for it, And so anyways, I hope y'all find this interesting. Like I said, a guy mentioned that tear gas, so I thought I'd tell that story. Talk to you later.